Hey everyone, so welcome to Fantasy Finals. We've come to the end of the fantasy season. What a season it's been. It's sad to be at the end. How are you feeling, Sean?
Yeah, it's a sad season, but I'm excited to get the next season started. I'm really excited for LOC next year. I mean, my team, we went back to back playoff, in the playoffs at least. And then Dynasty, I'm excited there. And then taking over LOC 2 team, I'm excited there as well.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, let's preview the final matchups here of the year. So, like I say, I was going to quickly just talk about Tier Two, just for those owners who are trying to get into the LOC. So the final is Canadian Conference champ Justin and Ottomas Prime. You guys know him from Dynasty, and then on the the Ameri Euro Conference champion is Young Wolf and Ramiro, who is Brandon's brother from the LOC. So I was pleasantly surprised to hear that Brandon said he would be definitely trying to beat him as much as possible, be a friendly rivalry there. But Justin has been trying to get to the LOC for a long time. And when I look at the matchup, just the worst news for Ramiro really before the finals. Cam Akers and Raheem Mostert won't be available for him. C-Mac's been hurt pretty much all year for Justin. I think it'd be an easy win for Justin if C-Mac was there, but I'm picking Justin to go to the LOC and replace Ellie Island.
Nice, and I hope that's a good team for me to take over.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I hope whoever comes. I think whoever does come up will be fairly active in trying to get their team better, which will mean they will trade probably. So it's going to be good.
Definitely. So let's talk about the game. I believe this is what for fifth place. Me versus Life's a Mitch. I did the math, and these two teams are averaging the highest 2 points of the entire playoffs. I mean, even Life's a Mitch is averaging 308, almost 309, and I'm averaging about 282. And then obviously, bad breaks for me, but definitely bad break for Life's a Mitch because I'm pretty sure besides he would have beat everybody last week as well.
Yeah, this is the kind of game where I mean you got to be top five finished, and I think there's a lot of pride in that. And I think ultimately, when you're going for top five, I find these are the teams that really could have won it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But just had luck in the first round, and that's what happened to you and Joshua. I
Yeah.
mean, Mitch looked like a contender all year long for the title, and it's top five finish now for both of you.
Yeah, and I definitely think Life's a Mitch is going to take the win here. I mean, his team's just been excellent all season. He just caught some bad breaks, with those four losses. Well, in the obviously in the playoffs here, but I mean his team's pretty solid all around. I'm pretty sure he kind of wishes his team was his team in Dynasty. He definitely would have a shot to, you know, make a run in Dynasty. Unfortunately, he can only keep five of them, and I think it's going to be hard for him to pick which five he wants to keep. Does he keep two tight ends? Does does he keep a couple of wide receivers? I mean, even his Montgomery. So he's gonna have a hell of a choice, and I think the same thing for Misfits here. I mean, he's got those wide receivers. He has those running backs. I think these two teams are gonna be making trades to get back in the first and second round.
Yeah, I think you're right. One thing I like about Joshua is he does have a couple of guys off his favorite team, the Bears. I'm picking Joshua to win as well. Hard luck year for him, just running into Sabotage Spartans in the first round. But he's a better team than you, and he's going to get a top five finish just like he did last year.
Yep, I agree with you there. I can't argue with that. Next up, we have for the first overall, we have the 12th man versus Storm. And honestly, I think this is gonna be a pretty close match. I mean, they both have decent running backs. I mean, Storm does have Breda, but I mean he did put up pretty close to 80 yards last week. Um, and then with the even the wide receivers are pretty close. I think this is gonna be a pretty good match. I'm actually gonna go with your brother just so I can root for Robert to get the first overall pick. I think he needs it. So I'm gonna root for him, and I'm gonna go with your brother.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brian as well, slash Templars. Because I'm like you, I'm rooting for Templars to get the number one too. I think he needs it the worst. And I think for Krista, it's Russell Wilson running into the Rams defense just because I know Brian's a huge Seahawks fan, so I know everything that's going on with that team, of course. And he says Russell Wilson has never played a good game against the Rams ever. So I'm going to take his word on it, and I'm going to go with the 12th man to win here for Templars.
Nice. And then for third place, we're going to look at some Swahini versus Sabotage Spartans. I think this is going to be honestly a blowout. Once the game actually loads, I can tell you why. There we go. I think with Lamar Jackson playing the Giants, I think Lamar Jackson's going to run for a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, and throw for 2 more. And then he has Pollard. I think Pollard is a good pass catching back. So I think he's going to put up some decent points there. I mean Ballage. I mean Spartans has Ballage. He has a couple other I don't want to say no name wide receivers going up against Hill, Hopkins, even Richie James for Swahini here. I think they're going to put up a decent amount of points.
Yeah, I think Swahini is going to add to his trophy case, and in the 2 short years he's been here, I think it would be his 4th trophy, so that's pretty insane. And he's been a great owner, and I think you're right, Lamar Jackson's going to have a late season charge here. And, Sabotage Spartans already got his fees free for next year by winning the international division. And now Eric and Swahini just wants to do the same thing by winning the 3rd place game, and I'm going with Eric and Swahini as well.
Yeah, and another motivation for Jackson is I believe they either are in the last place of the in the playoffs or are still trying to get into it. So I think he needs to have a big game for them anyway. Next up, we have you versus Green Lightning. And honestly, I think you're going to win this easily. I think you just have a better team. I think going with the Browns is actually going to help you here. They're playing the Jets. I mean, any team playing the Jets, unless you're the Rams last week, you should have an easy win here. You should be putting up 40-some points. You're going to have a lot of points here scored. But then, and then he has Herbert playing Denver, which I think, Herbert's going to put up a decent amount of points, but he doesn't have, Chubb, Hunt playing, Riggins in there, or Higgins, playing. So I think your Browns playing the Jets give you the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to beat Lucas here, too. I mean, Lucas has guys coming back. I see Kittle, Pirine, maybe Gaskin as well. But, for me, I think you're right, the matchup there with the Jets. And not only that matchup, AB and Marvin Jones, Detroit versus Tampa. That's just a matchup there where it just seems like it's going to be a lot of points scored. You know what I mean? It just seems like 2 teams like that, there will be a lot of points scored. He does have some really great IDPs there at linebacker with Devin White. I know he got 41, I think it was, for him last week.
Yeah.
I am hitting Lucas here at what I think he's almost pretty much at full power, so no complaints here if he loses to me. But I think I'm going to win it this year and finally get that name on the plaque, and I hope I do, because I'll be throwing something on the chat for my brother if I do.
And I know you called out Gaskins. I don't know if he's actually going to be the true number 1 anymore with Ahmed over there, or Sylvan Ahmed taking carries. I think it's to be a split, at least 50-50, or if not even in favor of Ahmed going into easing Gaskins back in. I mean, we saw what Ahmed did last week.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, you make a really great point there. I think Gaskin would probably maybe get 25 to 30% of the snaps, with Ahmed still getting the most of the snaps. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So that's the LOC. Let's switch over to Dynasty. The first game we're going to look at, I believe it is Zebras versus you. I'm just gonna. I looked at it. I kind of said, yeah, I don't really care about this matchup. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I'm going to go with Zebras just because I've been rooting for all season. So I'm going to go with Zebras, who's going to get the W here.
Yeah, this is like the biggest. This is the game where who was the biggest pretender in the playoffs, and I think it's gonna be me. I lose, and Zebras beats me as well. I added a bunch of opt out guys too, so still playing within the rules, but could barely dress a full lineup. I think I actually still have one guy on IR that I couldn't replace. So yeah, I'm just here to win as well, in really a meaningless game.
Yeah, I saw Zebras picked up Wentz again, so she must be hoping that he gets traded because I don't think he's taken back over the number one spot for Philadelphia.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and maybe he ends up in Indianapolis because I just can't see Rivers continuing on.
No, I agree. Next up, we have Bills Mafia versus Orange Crush, and Matt's team is all over the place. Either I think Matt's team is like my team in the LOC; they're either really good or they just suck. And then Adrian's team, they're middle of the road to really good. With that, I'm gonna go with Adrian just because his team's floor seems to be higher than what Matt's team's floor is. So I'm gonna go with Adrian's team's going to at least hit their floor, if not win the actual game here.
Yeah, again, this is for a top five finish, so it's always kind of a bit of pride getting into at least the top five that year. And my preseason pick to win it all was Adrian. And I still think he kind of was like almost like Life's a Mitch in the LOC, where first round just ran into some bad luck. And I think he's a better team here and gets revenge for losing that game in Flex 13 against Bills Mafia.
Good point. Next up, we have Vlad Jr. Crew versus Curly Lamborghini. And honestly, I think this is going to be one hell of a match to watch. I know you said Russell Wilson doesn't play good against the Rams, but I mean, Kyler Murray, he's playing San Fran. San Fran, they're letting up points. But then if you look at, the second quarterback matchup, you have Teddy Bridgewater, who I'm not a fan of. He's playing against, the Washington football team, who has been playing hell of, I don't think I've lost for words for how good they've been playing. So I think that's going to be a wash. And then you have Dalton playing the Eagles, who they're either going to score. Dalton's either going to put up points or he's going to throw 3 interceptions. So I mean, it's going to be a hell of a game. The running backs are pretty close. I do like Pollard coming out of the backfield. Just looking at the wide receivers, I'm going to have to pick Curly Lamborghini for the win, but I think it's going to be really close.
Yeah, I'm going Lamborghini here too, and I think the biggest reason was I think Chris's team fell off a bit when Michael Thomas landed on IR, which took a big majority, superstar off his team, really. And then once again, I think Russell Wilson will have problems against LA. And, look out for Devontae Adams in a huge game on Sunday primetime for Curly Lamborghini. And I know Spend is a big Packers fan. And I think his team brings him a Christmas wish this year, and he won't have to pay fees next year by winning third place.
Yeah, that's what he's definitely hoping for there. So next up, we have No More versus Likely Losers. I don't know how I can pick against No More to win, because every time I look at his team, I'm like, I don't know how they're going to score points, and every week they score a whole bunch of points. Granted, I would love to see Likely Losers to win just because he's in our division, but I like I said, I can't root against No More just because his team just finds a way to win.
Yeah, I actually was talking to Stuart earlier this week, and I am picking him to win. And I said, you got to win it for your Solomonic brothers. I think Derek Carr, this guy looks like he's going to be back. It looked like he was out with the groin there, and then boom, he might be back in for Stuart. And he's trying to be Stuart's savior. And, I'm going against No More for the same reasons I've been going against him all season, but it's been backfiring. Is the fact that he doesn't have that second quarterback because Joe Burrow's out. And I'm say that's the reason again here. And, he can make me look bad again if it goes that way. I know he's got McCaffrey in his starting lineup there. He's going to be doubtful, so he's going to have to replace him. And he's really got nobody to replace him with. Like the rest of the lineup is pretty weak. I think Likely Losers is cruising his way to a title here. There won't be a repeat champ. But No More has proven himself this year, and I think even though we call you the People's Champ, Chris, and you took over Matthew's team, we know you're a good owner and you proved it very much this year. But I'm going Stewart for the Solomonic brothers.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear. Like I said, I'm rooting for likely losers. And Chris, I know I gave you some crap earlier in the week. It's all in fun and games, buddy. I hope you win.
Good on.
So right now, let's jump over to the draft lottery reveal. Let's go ahead and get this started. So the first thing we're going to look at is the odds for the first overall pick. So starting out, the Illuminati, they have 10 ballots. It comes out to about a 26% chance. Life's a Mitch, he has 8 ballots, 20% chance. Sabotage Spartans has 6 ballots, 15% chance. Ottomas Prime has 5 ballots, about a 13% chance. Flaming Dragons has 4 ballots, and that's a 10% chance. Philly Miracle Man has 3 ballots, and that's 8% chance. Unnecessary Roughness has 2 ballots, that's a 5% chance. And Powers of Pain has 1 ballot, that's a 3% chance. Do you want to let everybody know how we did the picking?
Yeah, for sure. So earlier today, Sean and I connected online, and we did a bit of a Christmas theme here with a bag, and we had all the ballots in that bag. And we had a special guest pick out of the bag. His name, he wanted me to say his name was Scream the Scary Man. Okay, so that was his name, Scream the Scary Man. And he drew the ballots out, and yeah, I mean, let's find out what happened. It was pretty scary.
It was pretty scary. So with the 8th pick, and the 8th pick went to Philly Miracle Men. So they had the 6th most chance, and they have fell down to the 8th overall. I mean, the good thing, the good or bad thing for the Philly Miracle, they have 3 first-round picks, but the game for the championship, they have No More's first overall. They also have Likely Losers first overall. So they have dropped. They have 15th and 16th overall, and then they lost the draft lottery. So now they have 8th overall. So they've gotten all the worst picks they could possibly get. But for them, I was gonna say for them though, they have 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 thirds.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in a good spot with all the picks for sure, but it was kind of interesting when we were pulling out the names, and we got to the end there, and I was like, Sean, who's left? And he's like, me. I was like, oh, brutal for you. And it was. So you could tell we weren't fixing the draft or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because Sean getting the worst end of it in the lottery.
Yeah, but just looking at, I'm going to write off some names for every team that they have. So, I mean, Philly Miracle Men, obviously, they're 8th. They have Herbert. They have Hurts. So, I think they're all hoping that Hurts is, staying in Philly, number 1 QB. And then their wide receivers are pretty stacked, too. They have Corey Davis, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Gallup, Rieger, Paris Campbell. But then their main need is running backs. I mean, they have Marlon Mack, Savon Ahmed. You call him Ahmed. I know a friend who actually pronounces his name Ahmed, so I'm just going to keep calling him Ahmed. They have Tariq Cohen. And then their tight ends aren't too bad. They got Dan Arnold, who's been coming on strong. They have Blake Garwin, who's obviously was out since week 1. I think he caught 1 pass for 12 yards. And they have Trotman, who should be taking over the TE1 from Jared Cook. So, I mean, looking at their team, they're pretty well stacked. They have assets to trade wide receiver wise for the running backs or more picks. So I think they're not too bad hurt here.
Yeah, I think your team's in pretty good shape, definitely, and I think the Solomonic division overall will improve based on just what you've done, and also Flaming Dragons too is a similar situation, I believe, in the picks. So yeah, you guys have a good roster for next year, and you have to, because Stuart and I obviously have 2 really good teams based on how we perform this year too.
Yep. Next up, we have the team that's picking 7th overall, and that team is Sabotage Spartans. And they have all 1 pick in each round, so 1 through 8, they have 1 pick. Just looking at their teams, they have, Cousins, they have Jones as their quarterbacks. I don't think any quarterbacks, Zach Williams, Fields, or Trevor Lawrence is going to fall down to them. So I think they're going to have to keep those quarterbacks. But their wide receivers are okay. They have Hilton, Landry, Mooney, Shepard, Ayuk, Parker, and then their running backs are kind of, I don't want to say mediocre, but they have Lindsey, Jalen Samuel, Giovanni Bernard. They're not great. They're mostly backups. But then, I mean, honestly, I kind of like their tight ends, even though I've said they need tight ends. They have, Kelsey, Eifert, and Asai. I think Asai will eventually start doing good in New England. But I think out of all the teams that kind of needed quarterback here, I think this is one of them.
Yeah, well, when I always look at Dynasty now too, one of the things that I always look at is just who were the players they added in the draft, and so he added Brandon Ayuk in the past draft, Van Jefferson, AJ Dillon, and I think AJ Dillon hasn't quite made the impact that he's gonna for Sabotage Spartans in the running back game, because Aaron Jones is probably gonna likely leave Green Bay. Sabotage Spartans got the worst end of the stick here in the lottery, in my opinion, to end up 7th. His odds should have been better than that. Yeah, you're right. I do think he does have a lot of needs, and I think he's probably identified that. And he's had bad luck since he's been in Dynasty. He was top teams there heading into the playoffs last year. He was one and done, similar to Mitch, that kind of story. And I think it's a tough spot for Sabotage Spartans. I'm sure he'll make the best of it somehow.
Yeah. And then let's move on to pick number 6. So pick 6th overall. That's going to Unnecessary Roughness. He's another team that hasn't really traded any picks. So he has all his picks in the every round. Looking at his team, he has Goff, he has Prescott, who's obviously injured. His running backs aren't too bad. He has Chris Carson, Barkley, Mostert, and actually the one I'm kind of curious to see is what happens next year is with Damian Williams. And then his wide receivers are pretty good too. He has Beasley, he has Higgins, he has Antonio Brown, Randall Cobb, Emmanuel Sanders, and then if Doug Peterson leaves, he has Fulgham, who might actually be a good sleeper from next year. His tight ends are mediocre. He has Schultz and Hurts. I think he wish he had a good second wide receiver.
Yeah, I think for Milan, the quarterbacks are there with Goff and Prescott, so he doesn't have to worry about the quarterback position, which puts him in probably a good situation. Because I think probably the teams that are going to be picking ahead of him do need quarterbacks. So that should open up more for the wide receiver or the running back, for him to draft near the top. And I know for Milan, hopefully it's much better than, the draft he had last year, because if you guys recall, he ended up pulling the trigger on the New England Patriots defense in the first round. Of course, turned out to be an absolute disaster for him. I'm sure he wishes he was in a better spot for the lottery here. But I think he'll end up with a decent pick here at number 6 still.
Yep, I agree. So next up we have pick 5, so the 5th overall pick, and that goes to Ottomas Prime. And another team hasn't traded any of his picks. He has Tannehill, he has Lamar Jackson, so I'm pretty sure he's set for at least a couple years with Tannehill and obviously Lamar Jackson. I think his major need is a running back, honestly. He has Jeff Wilson, Sonny Michel. That's really the only two that stand out to me. I know his wide receivers need. I think a lot of teams need more wide receivers. Hopkins, Cooper, Traquan Smith, David Moore. And then his tight ends are not too bad. He has George Kittle, he has Hollister, he has Njoku. So
yeah, Njoku.
Yep. So he has needs, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, if you look, it's funny. A lot of the teams that were in the draft lottery were guys that had draft problems last year. So Unnecessary Roughness, Ottomas Prime, Life's a Mitch were all people that had draft problems last year. And Curly Lamborghini as well, but he somehow made his way to the 3rd place. But Dustin, after a really great first season, really had a dreadful season in year 2. and has a ton of needs. And I think at pick 5, because he doesn't really have to worry about quarterback with Lamar and Ryan Tannehill. Again, I think he's going to be able to pull the trigger here on a top flight running back or wide receiver to really enhance his team. Hopefully, moving forward to where he was, the year before.
No, I agree with you there. So next up is pick number 4. So fourth overall is going to the Illuminati, which I think he should cry some, honestly. He has 1 first, 2 seconds, 3 fourths, 1 fifth, 1 sixth, and 1 seventh. And honestly, he needs a whole new team. Looking at his team, he has quarterback wise, he has Brady and Minshew. Brady. Keep him, I guess, for maybe one more year. Yeah, Minshew, he's definitely going to be replaced by anybody. And then his only keepers that really stood out to me are, obviously Ezekiel Elliott, Justin Jefferson, and then maybe Joshua Kelly and Jakeem Grant. Besides that, he needs a whole new team.
Robert, you had all the ballots, and unfortunately, Scream the Scary Man didn't pick your name first, and it turned out to be a scream for you, and a disaster for you. You had the perfect season, 0-13, and Sean's absolutely right. Tom Brady's older than the hills, and Gardner Minshew's done, and even Ezekiel Elliott, I honestly could see him somehow getting traded.
I think he does.
That's kind of I think that's my bold prediction. He gets traded out of Dallas for them to get rid of that salary, to get Dak on the team. And, so it'll be interesting for the Illuminati. I think, obviously, he's still going to get a great player at 4. There's no doubt about that. And Justin Jefferson was a great ad last year in the draft to, add to your team. But you need to nail your first and second round this year desperately to try to get back in this thing.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I would try to trade what you can trade and try to get players and picks. If I were the Illuminati here, I just want to point out though, the Robert did win last week.
He did.
He did. Doesn't count, but he did win last week.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, it doesn't count. But, yeah, I guess he can. He needs to look for something.
Yep. So next up, we have pick number 3. So third overall goes to Powers of Pain. Finished 1 ballot, finished 9th overall, goes all the way to 3rd overall pick. And honestly, his team's pretty damn good. He has Sam Darnold. At 3, you could probably get rid of Darnold and either get Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Depending on what the two teams obviously in front of you are. So he has McKinnon, Josh Jacobs, Akers, Mixon, and then and Miles Sanders. And then his wide receivers where he has AJ Brown, Metcalf, even Tim Patrick, Claypool, and then he has Goddard. So I think he either try to look for another tight end or even his IDPs weren't bad. So he's right there to make that leap into the playoffs next year, I think.
Well, you were there during the draft when we were pulling the names out, and I couldn't believe it. And his name pulled out for the 3rd pick overall. Obviously, I was clearly pissed. His team's awesome. It's good. Metcalf, Brown, Ridley at wide receiver, Sanders, Jacobs, Mixon at running back. Whoever he decides to add here, I think he could even look at trading this pick when you look at how good his roster is, and maybe roll the dice with Tua and Darnold and just add to your depth and just get a ton of players for that pick. But it'll be interesting to see what he does. But this goes to show you that's why it's a lottery and 1 ballot, and here he ends up with the 3rd pick, the clear-cut winner, in my opinion, in this year's draft lottery.
I agree. So we're on pick 2. We have 2 teams left, obviously. So we have Flaming Dragons and Life's a Mitch. And then we're gonna talk about team number 2 first. But obviously, who's 2? You should know who's 1 is already. And pick number 2, the team that's picking 2nd overall is Flaming Dragons. And then I heard that. But honestly though, like his team is mediocre. I mean, he has second overall, and I believe he can pick anywhere from ninth or 10th and 11th or 12th, depending on how Bill's Mafia and you do. I believe you're the other team that he has the first overall for. But looking at his team though, he has Big Ben, who's getting old. He has Drew Lock, who's a joke. And then he has Dobbins, Logan Thomas, and Ivor Smith. So his team's not that. I mean, Logan Thomas and Smith are good tight ends, but he needs a lot. He needs more. Honestly, I say you need more quarterbacks, you need more running backs, you need more wide receivers. Honestly, if I was Flaming Dragons in this position, I would trade some of those first and get better players.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he does. You're right. His quarterbacks, Big Ben and Drew Lock, that's a desperate need. And let's face it, we'll see who's picking at one. Obviously, it's Mitch. I think he needs a quarterback, so Lawrence isn't going to be there. Do you go Justin Fields? That's tough because then you're giving up on the top running back who's going to be, Harris or Etienne, I guess. So, it's going to be interesting to see which direction he goes into. A rookie's not going to help immediately, but I see those 3 firsts will. And they do. I know Flaming Dragons has better first rounds, like you said, than you guys do for the Philly Miracle Men. So, he could use those picks to try to get better players. It's going to be an interesting offseason in Dynasty. And, Lucas won the lottery here a little bit, too, because I'm pretty sure he only had like 4 ballots, and he ends up here at 2. So, good ending for him.
Yep, exactly. So, next up, obviously, pick number 1, first overall, is going to Life's a Mitch. He has, all his picks. He hasn't made any trades, but I mean, his teams. He has, like you said, he's going to need a quarterback. He has Drew Brees and Cam Newton. I don't think Cam Newton's the answer in New England. I think New England tries to get Carson Wentz. Honestly, I think that's where Wentz goes. Brees. I mean, he might play another season too. Depends on what the Saints think of Taysom Hill. But I mean, Brees is getting up there too. So 1-2 years left to him maybe. And then he has Swift. I mean, he needs more running backs. But his wide receivers are pretty good. He has Mike Evans, Brandon Cook, Juju Smith-Schuster, Valdez Scantling. I mean, Julio, but Julio's getting up there in age as well. He has Sutton. Obviously, he's out this year. But then his tight ends, he only really has Jasicki. So, I mean, he has lots of needs here. But honestly, I don't see him trading out of this number 1 spot unless it's for like a king's ransom. But I mean, it's possible. But I think he stays here and takes Trevor Lawrence going to probably Jacksonville, which is probably a great fit for Lawrence to go to.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is his quarterback of the future. There's no doubt about it. You got to go Lawrence at 1 when you have Brees and Newton as your quarterbacks. Even though he still has a clear need at running back after adding DeAndre Swift last year, like. I think he just had a bad draft right from the get-go, and that's why his team still sucks. He just has to keep adding pieces to his team to get better, and I think it always starts at quarterback in a 2-quarterback league like we got here in Dynasty. He had a 1 in 5 chance of winning the lottery and had the second most ballots. Here he is, again, another clear-cut winner in the lottery this year for Joshua and Life's a Mitch.
Yeah, exactly. And then I know the draft lottery is over. Some people are happy, some people are sad. I mean, looking to next year, I'm really excited. The one thing I did want to talk about, though, before we let people go, is that 2-quarterback rule and how we plan on, changing that. And it is you have 2 quarterbacks. Obviously, you can have a 3rd quarterback if one of your main quarterback is on IR. Out does not count. So if he's not on IR, you cannot have 3 quarterbacks on your roster. And then obviously, once we call it out, you don't drop the quarterback, there will be some, fines, probably draft capital, to go along with that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm glad you clarified the rule. That is how we're going to roll it out. I think we were talking about adding 1 extra IR spot, too, just for the RWT. I don't think we need to, though, to be honest. When you look at how many extra players there is for RWT and IDP, I think we just need 1 extra IR spot for the quarterback. That's it. And, it's there for, we saw what happened to Milan and unnecessary roughness when Dak went down, and that's just not fair. So, yeah, I think it's a good rule, and thank you for clarifying it.
Yep, and that IR spot is for quarterbacks only. You cannot put a positional player into that IR spot so you can pick up another one. So the IR spot is for your quarterback only. And obviously, when I do the checking, throughout the week when we do this, the previews, and then when I look on game day, you guys need to make those changes, or obviously you'll be fined.
Right on.
All right.
Well, yeah, I'll say too, Sean, thanks for everything you've done for being commissioned this year. And I'm really excited to see what happens this weekend, obviously, with me being in the LOC finals and even for everyone else. And obviously, happy holidays to everyone out there. And I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you watch this video on YouTube, I will be putting the actual draft selection at the end of it. So you'll be able to watch the draft selection as well. So if you want to watch it on YouTube after it's up, obviously, if you're only watching on YouTube, the words I'm saying right now don't matter to you, and you can watch it. Just keep watching.
Right on. See ya, Elias.
See ya.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, hello, everyone. Welcome. It's 2021 and LOC Dynasty Draft Lottery here. And I got a special guest here that's going to pull out the names here out of this special Christmas edition bag. And all the correct number of ballots are in there. You guys will just have to trust me. I'm sure you do. And Scream the Scary Man is our special guest. So he's going to draw the names first here. So are you ready, Scream the Scary Man? All right, perfect. So let's see. This is for the number 1 pick in the LOC Dynasty 2021 season. Scream the Scary Man has picked the name. We will reveal what this name is, and it will be Life's a Mitch. We'll get the first overall pick. Life's a Mitch. Are you ready to draft the second pick in the draft? All right, here we go. Let's go. Scream the Scary Man. The special edition box. Ooh, and with the second pick, we got Flaming Dragons. Flaming Dragons. All right. Are you ready for the third pick? All right. Go ahead there, Scream the Scary Man. What do we have? It'll be Powers of Pain. 1 lone entry, and Powers of Pain with 1 ballot gets the third overall pick. He should be thanking his lucky stars. All right, the fourth pick. Are you ready to draw the fourth pick? Who do we have? All right, so it's Life's a Mitch, so you can just cut that one out. We might get some repeats. All right, I'm just going to keep this order here. Can't believe that my brother got third overall pick. That pisses me off, but that's okay. All right, okay, fourth pick. With the fourth pick, a guy that just bad luck, 10 ballots, and he falls to number 4. It's the Illuminati and Robert. So he doesn't get the help he wanted, I'm sure, after a perfect season, 0-13. All right, fifth pick. With the fifth pick, it's Ottomas Prime. It's number 5. All right, with the sixth pick, might run into a bunch of repeats here. Here we go, Scream the Scary Man. Who do we got? Another repeat, so you can just ignore that one. This is Life's a Mitch. Sixth pick, we got Another repeat, Flaming Dragons. Keep on going. The sixth pick. We have, with the sixth pick, Unnecessary Roughness. Unnecessary Roughness will get the sixth pick. All right. Here's pick 7. Pick 7. Sabotage Spartans. Sabotage Spartans is pick 7. So we could cut out now. Who would be pick 8? Do you have any idea who that? Oh my God, it's you guys! No way! And with pick 8, the last one, it's Philly Miracle Man. Philly Miracle Man. It didn't turn out to be a miracle for the Shawns. Unbelievable. There's all the ballots remaining in the bag. Great job, everyone. I'm sure some of you will be pleasantly surprised with where you've ended up in the draft position, and some of you who feel like you maybe got a lump of coal in your stocking with the way this lottery turned out. Thanks, everyone.